Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Week 11, or if you prefer, Week 1 of the high school football playoffs. We're here at Gahanna for our Facebook Live today. I'm Dave Purpura, along with Jarrod, Ulrey, and we have Lions coach Bruce Ward joining us to start the show. You guys are preparing for Olentangy Orange tomorrow night. First off, congratulations on getting in.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Third time in 4 years.
Third time in 4 years.
You guys, what do you like about what you're seeing out of this team right now to put a run together and get in Region 2?
Well, we haven't played real consistent the last several weeks, so we're excited to actually be in the state playoffs. It's the elite of the elite in the state of Ohio, and our kids are excited. They're ready to play. I think they want to bounce back and show we're a better team than what we performed last week.
Like you're saying, I mean, this is the third time in the playoffs in 4 seasons for you guys. When you were at Beechcroft, you had some real good seasons out there. Are you happy with the strides this program has made since you've been here, and what have been some of the biggest challenges so far?
Well, first, you already know coaches are never happy. But yeah, no, I mean we're right where we should be as far as in the playoffs. Now it's time for us to start putting games together and making a run in the playoffs. I think that will make us a little happier as coaches as far as our program. But with a team like Gahanna and a school and a community like this, we should be in the playoffs.
What's the biggest key to having more success? I mean, you come from, I think, what most people would agree is the best league in this area. What's the big key to taking it forward to the next level?
For us, it's going to be playing consistent. I think with our schedule, we've seen competition and we know what's out there as far as how to play. We just need to do it play after play, down after down, quarter after quarter. I think that's something we struggle with a little bit this year. We've had moments of greatness. We also had moments of lapse that we need to correct if we want to make it to the playoffs.
Gahanna 6-4 versus Olentangy Orange 9-1. What do you think are going to be some of the keys to this matchup?
Obviously, again, I've said it several times, so I'm going to say it again, but we have to be consistent. Obviously, I mean, Olentangy is a point away from being 10-0, so they're a great team. They're playing solid. We turn on the film, we see some great things out of them, and we have to match that. I think the key for us is obviously slowing down their running game on offense, and then for our offense to get going early and get our playmakers involved. I think last week, David Miller and Jerome Buckner didn't have a catch, and I think that's impossible to win in Week 11 with that same stat line. So we have to do a better job of getting our offense ready to go.
What stands out to you about Orange's defense? I mean, that's something a lot of people have talked about all year, and they lost an important piece a couple of weeks ago. What stands out to you on film about that side of it?
Obviously, Zach's pretty good, but I think they're aggressive. They're aggressive. They're sound. They're disciplined. And I think that's the biggest thing. If you want to win Week 11, you have to be disciplined. And Olentangy is disciplined on both sides of the ball. So I think that's the thing that sticks out to us. I know their motto is "Let's run." And they've done a good job of that, of running to the ball defensively, and obviously running the ball offensively.
Coach, we appreciate you coming over, taking a couple of minutes.
Absolutely.
Good luck up in Lewis Center tomorrow night.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
appreciate it.
Bruce Ward, the head coach here of the Gahanna Lions, as they prepare to take on Olentangy Orange tomorrow night here. I mean, you've seen Gahanna all year. What are some of the things that stand out to you? It's about, they went through a tough league schedule, obviously coming off a tough loss last week that you saw in person.
Well, he kind of pointed it out. The most obvious thing last week was that Buckner and Miller did not have a catch. Now, Pickerington North has a really exceptional secondary with Tyler Red Potts out there and some of the other guys they have. So, that's not really probably a great accurate representation of who Gahanna really is, because I mean, the combination of Mike Lowry to Jerome Buckner and David Miller, combined with their running game, when they've been on, they've been really impressive this year. I know he loves the way Justice Harris has come together this year, rushed for about almost 1,000 yards and several catches too. So how they, what the way that they're able to come together this week, if they can do those kind of things when they've been, like 2 weeks ago when they had 56 points, they can put that kind of an offense together. That's really going to help them. One thing about Orange is that they lost Bryce Houston a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that was who we were referring to.
Now they've got, I know he's plugged in Graham Starn as his linebacker out there, and he wanted to get a really good football player playing at that position where Bryce was. So
sure seems.
So yeah, we'll see how that happens.
Orange is seeking to take it to the next level too. I mean, and it's funny to say when they started 8-0. lost to Liberty by only a point, as Coach Ward just said. They're only 1-3 all time in the playoffs. I mean, this would be something that even legitimizes them even more as a program, even more than what they've already done this year.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty safe to say that this is probably the best team they've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you look at those two great players on defense and the way the offense has continued to come around, I mean, they've got a really good. I know Coach Schroeder's been impressed and pleased with their quarterback too,
Mm-hmm.
Luke Schmeling, the way he's come around, and they've got a wide receiver with 500 yards this year. I mean, it's going to be fun to see how they react tomorrow.
That is a Region 2 game. We'll be going back and forth between 2 and 3. I mean, you can almost throw something into Region 3 from where we are, because we're right on the dividing line with Gahanna and Olentangy Orange in Region 2. We're going to jump south now to Region 3. Another team you know a lot about, Pickerington Central, as they take on Clayton Northmont tomorrow night. In your preview, you said they have an important piece back on their defense.
That's right. Yes, Jalen Mitchell he was banged up for a little while. He is back this week. I mean, I got a chance to talk to Jalen the other night. He said he feels like he's probably about 95%. So 95% Jalen Mitchell, when you put him at cornerback, that's a pretty important piece for them, because this is this Northmont team looks very dangerous on paper. They've got a running back, Devin Kennerly's rushed for 1,400 yards. And of course, their quarterback, Miles Johnson, sorry about that. He's passed for more than 2,000 yards and 23 touchdowns. So they're going to be tested. Now, Central probably, I think it's reasonable to say they've got one of the 2 or 3 best defenses in Central Ohio, and that's always been their bread and butter. So, if anybody can handle an offense like that, it would be them.
That was the biggest thing that stood out to me when I was reading your preview. Just preparing for this is just how many weapons you listed for Northmont, and Central having this game at home. I mean, they have that home field advantage. They earned it.
Yeah.
And things. I mean, we'll see if that ends up working out into their favor. Region 3 has, I think, all 4 matchups are Dayton versus Columbus, or Columbus versus Dayton, if you prefer. You're going to be heading down that way tomorrow night to see the Pickerington North when they take on Huber Heights Wayne, and that. If these aren't all marquee matchups at this time of the year, that certainly might be the marquee matchup in this region.
I mean, it's quite fascinating. I mean, I don't think there's any other way to describe it. Just because of the tradition that Wayne has had over the years, the success they've had, and they've got so many weapons. I mean, we know that they're an athletic team, they're a fast team. This quarterback they've got is really good, Rashad McKee. They've got lots and lots of other weapons, and this is. One of the greatest teams North's ever had. I mean, we know that. I mean, this is Jimmy Wyrick, Ty Wiley, Alex Williams. This is their last chance to really go far in the playoffs, and they're going to be ready for it. I mean, I'm expecting this to be a high-scoring, exciting type of game.
You've seen a lot of North football over the years. This obviously has to rank as one of their best teams, like you said. It's tough to compare. I mean, because you've had such talent like Pat Elfline and Jake Butt and all those guys.
Godwin Ugubuki,
who's at Northwestern.
Lots and lots of great players there. But this is, just the combination of these guys. It's been really fun to watch. Well, one guy for Huber Heights Wayne I neglected to mention, LaChristian Blue Smith, Ohio State recruit, and he's got 54 catches this year. And I got to see them play a little bit earlier this year against Olentangy Liberty. I mean, he's definitely the real deal.
That's right. What was that, week 3? Or week 2?
And that was not even. I mean, they dominated them. Really made it tough for Liberty to move the ball. So maybe their defense is also something that might be a little underrated.
Coach referred to it from the Gahanna side of things, and we talked to a little bit ago. North's coming in off 2 of their best offensive games of the year.
That's right.
Maybe carrying some momentum, and they beat Lancaster a couple weeks ago. Back to Region 2, Dublin Jerome at Olentangy Liberty tomorrow night. Liberty is a team that you know well. Dublin Jerome has played some pretty good ball. 6 out of their last 7 have been wins to get into this position. And what is it, 4 in a row now for Olentangy Liberty?
Both teams are very hot, and that's the way you want to be playing as you get into the playoffs. Liberty has a younger offensive line this year, and they've continued to get better as the season's gone on, and that's helped out Mitchell Oakley to have a real solid second half of the season. And, of course, Johnny Wiseman has been a great weapon for them. I mean, I think Jerome is obviously a team that's really come on at the early in the season. We weren't sure exactly what was going to happen with their team, but they've really turned it around.
And I think Frank was mentioning in his preview, I believe he's the one who wrote the preview, that Dublin Jerome had some issues on their offensive line just with injuries.
Right.
They've had to really juggle that. I mean, they're doing something well something right, obviously. You mentioned how Liberty comes in hot. They won the OCC Central last week.
That's right.
By virtue, and they beat Orange in that huge game a couple weeks ago. And then I believe it was Westerville North that they knocked off last week to clinch that league championship.
That's right.
We're going to stay in Region 2 for another one and go right down the street. Olentangy at Dublin Kaufman.
And this is one that you know well because of Olentangy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a team that's kind of been, this kind of fascinating team. They've had some games that they could be like 9-1, but they're 7-3.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
When you mentioned a couple minutes ago about, I think Jerome and Liberty were the two teams we were addressing playing their best ball of the year. Well, Mark Solis feels that Olentangy is playing his best of the year. I saw them last Friday night against Westerville Central. It's tough to argue that they're not, quite honestly. I mean, they faced a Westerville Central team that's very talented offensively, but Olentangy came through at the end of the game. I know we've mentioned Caden Kaiser's name on here before. 8 catches for 126 yards. 4 of them were on the game-winning drive last week. Not just the touchdown, but he had 2 fourth-down catches on 4th and medium yardage, and then a 3rd down, converting that into a 1st down. So yeah, this, Olentangy going up against a team that it beat back in Week 4. It was the very first loss for Kaufman. When I talked to Mark Crabtree on Sunday night for the preview, Kaufman is no stranger to these rematches. Although most of the time it's been against Hilliard Davidson. I believe 4 of the 5 times this has happened to them recently, it's been against Davidson.
I wrote down one comment that Coach Crabtree said. He said, everybody evolves as the season goes along.
Yep.
So maybe this is a completely different game this time.
It very well could be, and I think that, when I think I asked him, not in so many, we're not in the same words, but just, how much can you even take from that game 6-7 weeks ago? Maybe a little bit, maybe nothing at all, maybe quite a lot. But, and you got to think that the Kaufman probably has some revenge on their minds.
Absolutely.
At least some of the players do, trying to get past that game.
We've got so many games to get to here. We'll try to fly through.
You're not kidding. Oh, we've only got a couple minutes left, don't we? Back down to Region 3. Hilliard Bradley, here's another team that's trying to take the next step. They're the 2 seed in the region, which I had forgotten that Centerville passed them over for. Big Bradley went 10-0.
That's right.
And they're the 2nd team in the region. They get Kettering Fairmont at home tomorrow.
And I guess the one thing that's going to help Bradley is they're playing an option team in Fairmont. And they've faced a few. I mean, Davidson and Darby. So that's going to help them, I think.
Yep. Darby, the aforementioned Panthers, they're going to head to the Dayton area. They're taking on the Centerville Elks. One of the only 2 teams to be picked north this year. And Centerville grabbed the #1 seed in that region as well. I will be at Walnut Ridge tomorrow night for their game against Canal Winchester. Canal Winchester's in the playoffs for the first time in 5 years. That's a Division II Region 7 matchup.
Really nice story there.
Indians are playing well.
Yeah, really nice story for Canal Winchester. Walnut Ridge has had a really great season. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure they probably don't feel like they're playing that well right now. The last couple weeks, they've given up a lot of points. So
and they gave up the last 22 of the game to Independence last week.
So let's see how they respond this week.
New Albany at Whitehall. That's another D2 Region 7 game. So if 2 of the lower seeds win, or the lower, however you want to put it, if Canal and New Albany win, then they would play each other next week. I mean, if you want to look forward a little bit.
That's a red-hot Whitehall team.
Yeah, they're coming in off a big win over London. They've had a lot of success against running backs, and they're going to have to do that again tomorrow night against New Albany.
Absolutely.
You wrote down a lot of other games that we at least want to mention anyway, as far as
we just wanted to make sure that we mention all the games because we got Ashland at Mifflin in a Division II Region 7 matchup, a couple of 8-2 teams. Then there's in Division 3 we go to Jackson at Independence and New Philadelphia at Hartley. Hartley's in Region 11 here for the first time, and they're the 3 seed. And then also in Division 3 Region 11 we got Dresden Tri-Valley at Marion Franklin, and Granville at Bell Fountain.
A couple other games to talk about. Licking Valley trying to go to 11-0. They'll get Unioto, the Sherman Tanks, coming up to Hanover tomorrow night. Columbus Academy is at Union Local. That's in Belmont, out in eastern Ohio. Johnstown is at home against Oak Hill. Reedy goes all the way to Wheelersburg. Wheelersburg is a 10-0 team. And Harvest Prep against Neil Thompson's Hannibal River team. He's one of our editors. So we'll see how that goes. And we'll see. You mentioned Independence. The only playoff game we played in high school was on this very field against Watterson. Lost 22-0 in 1994. I'd like to see it go better tomorrow night for the alma mater. I guess we'll figure it out.
It's going to be fun. This is it.
It is. It's what we go all season for. And Week 12 will be somewhere. Talking next Thursday afternoon, and we'll see how the field gets whittled down. But there's a lot of representation in Central Ohio this week.
Absolutely.
We will talk to you next Thursday from somewhere. For Jarrod Ulrey and for Coach Bruce Ward, I'm Dave Purpura. So long, everybody.